Hi, so welcome from myself to yourself. Today we are live, and I just want each of you to know that you are not alone. You have within you a beautiful, intact, loving, caring, mothering, fathering being called yourself, and that's with a capital S. And that's why I sign off all my videos with from myself to yourself, because we all have it. I was fortunate this week to spend time at a beautiful retreat learning how to heal from trauma and identify it and live a better life in this world and be stronger and know when to be soft. So that is such a blessing. So I want to share with you some of the things that I learned this week, because it has been such a gift and such a blessing to learn all of these things. We had some amazing speakers. One of them was Luis Mojica. He was a nutritionist, and now he's, I guess he'll always be a nutritionist, but he went into somatic healing, and he is focused on the intersection of nutrition, typical psychology, US psychology, and somatic healing. And he brings those three together in such a beautiful way. And it's just, I always learn something when I take his class. So here is something that I learned from the first class he taught, which is, he spoke about our responses to stress. So what do you typically think of, right? Think of yourself. What do you think when you're stressed out? What are the things you learn about? Fight or flight, right? So we all know those. I mean, that's pretty common. But when we're stressed out, we don't just, hi, welcome. Hi there, Jameson and Ava. Hello, Tyler. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm here in Costa Rica, thank God, and I wanted to just be with you because I don't want anybody to be alone on Valentine's Day. And stay tuned, because I'll show you a way you'll never be alone again, because within you, you have a self with a capital S that can bring you joy, bring you hope, and carry you through, and it probably has done so many things for you. Hi, Emilio and Ava. Oh, happy Valentine's Day to you too. Thank you. So thank you. Happy Valentine's Day, Emilio. I appreciate it. I may miss some of these because they're coming up pretty quick. How old are you? I'm pretty old, Ardash. I am 54 and 8 months or so. But I'm blessed to be at this. It's a trauma and wellness retreat in Costa Rica here with some amazing teachers. And happy Valentine's Day to everybody if you just tuned in. Hi, happy Valentine's Day, Cole and Colton, Kira. Thank you all. Jimmy, oh my gosh, you're coming on quick. Thank you. So what I'm talking about here is, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I am not 35. Maybe if you flip it and add a year, then you got it. Anywho, so I'm here at this trauma and healing retreat, which it sounds scary, right? But we all have trauma, whether we realize it or not. We don't know we have trauma until we slow down and start thinking about it. You know, trauma, I just lost a bunch of people when I said trauma. But anyhow, hi, Jimmy. Hi, board. Okay. But we all have different traumas in our lives, and we may not realize it. It's okay. You know, I didn't know I had trauma. I thought I was totally fine for years. And then when I started slowing down and looking at it, I realized, I said, wow, I really have some healing to do. So I just, oh, thanks for the hearts. So I was just telling the folks that I was at a seminar with Luis Mojica, and what are your typical, and if you want to add it in the comments, I would love to know your thoughts. When you're stressed out, what are your typical responses, right? Are they, yeah, I go to therapy, Akira. Actually, if you go on my channel, I've posted some of my sessions with the permission of my therapist. And I started out by doing that, and then people were scared, so I went a different route. And now I do like skits, but I would love for you guys to check it out. So, and I'm not going to show you anything. So if you're creepy and you're here for creepy stuff, keep going. It's not that kind of party. Hi, Carrie. Thank you. How's my day? It's awesome. Thank you. So, anywho, we were talking about your responses to stress. So we know flight or fight, right? And then there's also freeze. Like sometimes when you're stressed out and you don't want to be somewhere, you may freeze, and that's okay. Okay, hi Timothy. Back to my thing. So when we are stressed out, we fight, flight, or freeze. There's another one that I did not know about, and you may not know either, okay? It is called fawning, and that pairs with the freezing. So we may freeze, and then we might be extra nice to somebody, or do something or say something that we don't really want to do. So I didn't even know I was doing that, and maybe some of you guys do that as well. Yeah, thank you. Everything's going well, by the way, guys. Thank you. And if I don't comment, I want to, share some stuff that I learned with you because it's really good information. Anywho, so yeah, we have fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Fawn is a really big one. And did you ever say or do something to someone and just try to be extra nice to them so that they would like you, or so that they would be with you, or so they wouldn't leave, or so they would be kind to you? I was kind of living in that. If you're a people pleaser, then you know what I'm talking about. So thank you. And I spent years, 50 years of my life, being a people pleaser, saying, yeah, okay, I'll do that, even though I didn't want to, and I didn't feel like I wanted to do it. So Luis is amazing because he teaches us to feel how we feel in situations, in our body, and then act accordingly instead of being phony. Basically, phoning is you're not really being true to how you feel. So if you guys want to try an exercise, I'll do one with you. So if you want to just close your eyes for a second and just feel how you feel, like if you feel any tension in your body, if you feel any tension in your stomach or your shoulders, and just feel that for a second. You don't have to do anything, you don't have to judge it, but if you feel that tension or that stress, you may want to think, where did that come from? Why do I feel that way? I know sometimes when I talk to certain people, I get really stressed out and my shoulders will go up to my ears, and my stomach sort of turns, and if I can't get out of that situation, it could get even worse. And I don't know if you're the same way or not. I would love to know if you are. Oh, happy birthday, Akira. It's a cool birthday. So anywho, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Those are the 4 responses to trauma. Now get to us to stress. So guess what happens to our body? We don't know if we could be talking to somebody we don't want to, and that can create stress. But our body doesn't know whether we are like really in danger, or if we are just responding to a place we don't want to be. So that was incredible too. When you find out, if you're watching the news, which these days can be super stressful, if you're in a conversation you don't want to have, you may be so stressed out and you don't even realize it. So I ask you all, as a gift to yourselves on Valentine's Day, think about how you're feeling. I know that's kind of meta, it's like we don't normally do that. We just go through our lives and do our thing, and that's it. Especially, I don't know if any of you guys are from America, but we don't really stop and see how we're feeling. But it's a good thing to do. It's a good practice, and it causes you to slow down. Oh, and then when you're in that situation, when you're stressed out, when you feel like, oh, I don't want to be here, you can pause. You can excuse yourself and say, excuse me, I have to go to the bathroom. Or, excuse me, I have to step out for a minute. Or, it's been nice talking to you, but I have to go. So if you're feeling something, get out of that situation. It's okay. You don't owe that person anything. I'm here to give you power for yourself. And this way, you'll never be alone again. Once you start loving yourself, and that really took me 54 years to figure out, and I'm still figuring it out, but this is what my channel is all about, is figuring out how to love yourself and find peace in your heart. And don't we all want that? Because we'll never be alone again if we can learn to love ourselves. So I lost a bunch of people on that one. Okay, what state? I'm actually in Costa Rica right now at this conference. It's a blessing. Okay, so anywho, I want to talk to you more about this freezing. So how do we know? How do we know if we're fawning or if we're just being nice to somebody? That's a great question, because I had that question. I said, am I fawning? Because I tend to, I'll compliment somebody. And what Louise said, which was fantastic, was if it's not consistent with what you're feeling, if you're saying something that's not consistent with what you're really feeling in your heart and in your body, then you might be fawning. So check it out. I just wanted to give you that information because I think it was very powerful. So yeah, okay. So another thing he said was conflict. When we're disagreeing with somebody, or if we're not agreeing with what they're saying, or we don't like what's happening, which can happen many times in this world, can cause our bodies to react in a way that we feel as though we're threatened. So I just want you to pay attention to that and listen to your body. But the good news is you have the resources within you to, number one, feel it, then pause. And if you need to remove yourself from that situation, you may do that. Otherwise, you can decide, how do I want to react to this, rather than just what he used an example of. A lot of times too, in addition to fawning, we may eat. We may eat to calm ourselves. We may eat to wake up. We may eat to feel better. I did, I don't know if you guys use food ever to soothe yourself. My go-to was chocolate and chips and cake and cookies and all kinds of junk. I don't know if any of you have issues with food, but that was a challenge, getting over that whole to reg, and that's an issue. The other thing Luis says, and his name is Luis Mojica, and he's phenomenal. He's a nutritionist, a psychologist, and he does somatic healing. So he talks about how we interact in the environment and then use food with our bodies. So, yeah. So another thing that he says is, let me go back to his page. He took like 4 pages of notes, so bear with me. Oh, okay. So what we might do when we freeze is we may even disassociate. Did you ever do that? Did you ever stop and like you can't move because you're so stressed out, and then you feel like you're in a movie? Oh, shout out to Jimmy Rattay. Okay, there you go. But I lost my train of thought now. Hang on. Oh, there we go. So when we freeze, we actually release sometimes hormones that will calm us, and they'll like kind of freeze us in position. So we almost can't move. Do you ever have that where you wanted to leave, but your feet just won't move? So what he suggests in those situations, so we're talking about freezing. So if you freeze and you're talking to somebody and you're like, I really want to get out of here, but for some reason my feet won't move and I can't move, and it's just a big challenge. That's called freezing, and that's when you're in a stressful situation and you want to leave, in case you just joined us. So freezing, it numbs us. We kind of get numb, and we just stand there even though we don't want to be there and we want to get out. And instead of fight flight, we for some reason can't. Maybe we're talking to our boss and we have to just stay there. But there are ways you can listen to your body, and you can say, oh, I'm freezing right now, I'm not comfortable. And you can excuse yourself and get out of that situation, okay? The other one is, as I was saying, is fawning, where you freeze and you can't move, and then you just are so like, let's use the example of, let's say you're talking to your boss and you're like, okay, I'm frozen, I can't move. Wow, you did such a great job on that report, and you're so awesome. I can't believe, thanks for giving me tomorrow off, and blah blah whatever. You're just being overly like, oh my God, those are great shoes, and I can't believe how good you did on that report last week, and stuff you don't even want to say. You may not, you probably don't believe it, but you you say things that don't line up with what you're feeling. So my goal for you today is figure out what you're feeling when you're talking to people and be honest. I came back last year from this retreat and I looked at all the places in my life where I was fawning, and I slowly changed, and I got out of those situations, or modified them, or told the person, hey, I'm going to be honest with you from now on. And some people were cool with it, and some people were very much offended. And probably like when I first came back, I didn't do it good. Like when you're starting something new, it's like speaking a new language. So, I was like, some people I just texted, what I thought. And then other people I maybe emailed or called or whatever, or spoke to in person. But it's like a muscle. When you're trying something new and you're trying to change in your life, not everybody's going to be good with that. And the people that love you and care about you are going to be fine with it, and they're going to be happy for you that you're growing. And the people that are not are maybe not meant to be in your life anymore, or meant to be limited. I mean, there's certain people like, relatives and whatnot who don't really understand what the heck I'm doing and growing and healing and getting better and trying to be my best self. And for the folks that are my relatives that are on board with it, cool, I could talk to them about it and they get it and they appreciate it, and they may not be on that journey, but they respect my journey. And there's other family members who are like, you're so different. I go back to the way you used to be. And I'm thinking, yeah, no, I don't want to be a doormat anymore. So I'm done. I'm done being a doormat. So you can figure that out. So who is going to respect you and support you, and who isn't? And you deserve to be around people who respect you. I think it's just you and me, Jimmy. Um, you just want to be around people that respect you and that don't get in the way, because there's some people who are trying to stop your progress. And there's other people who are like, that's cool. Go for it, girl. Or how do you do that? Maybe I want to try some of that. So it's pretty cool. What do you mean by the moving? I'm not sure. Oh, maybe physically. I think I was talking about physically moving away from the issue. So, okay, Akira. All right, you're asking, what do I mean by the moving? So if you're in a situation, there's 4 responses to stress. And you probably know them: fight, flight, those, freeze, and fawn. Okay, so now fawning is actually when you freeze and then you are effusively nice to somebody even though you don't want to be. So that's fawning. But freezing is when you want to get out of there and your feet just don't move. I'm sure you could think of a time maybe where that's happened to you. And it's very disconcerting, because you're like, why aren't my feet moving? Because I want to get the heck out of here. And it could be that you are just trying not to offend the person, or especially if you're a people pleaser, it's a very common situation. And then on top of it, you might start saying really nice stuff to them. So, yeah. So, anywho, so conflict is highly sensational. So we may be in conflict, and this is when we're disagreeing with somebody in our lives, or we are like, we'll go back to the boss. Like if you don't agree with your or coworker, you don't agree with your coworker. That can be really hard. It could be hard to have an honest conversation with that coworker and say, hey, I don't like what you did, or please don't do that, or let's do something else, or whatever. But having that conversation can be really, really hard. And I as a former people pleaser, I really avoided those conversations as much as I could. So when you need to have those conversations, and sometimes you really do, um, you need you may come across one of these things. You may want to fight with the person. That's just easier. Like, hey, you're doing it wrong. I do it my way or the highway, right? Okay. Um, and then the other one is, so run away, flight, get out of there. Okay, get out of that situation if you're stressed out. If you're talking to a coworker and you don't get along, and you don't want to deal with it, you say, all right, you know what, we'll just skip it and get out. The third one is freezing if you're just stuck there and you can't really move. And then the fourth one is fawning, where you're stuck. It's compound. It's compounded with that third one, the freezing. And then the fawning is where you're just totally being so nice and like, okay, whatever you want to do, even though you don't feel it. So when your feelings don't match your actions, that's fawning. And I want you to all take a look in your life and see where you do this, because you will be surprised, okay? There was someone after I put this into practice in my life, um, I suddenly didn't get along with them anymore. And I'm like, what happened? And even, my family said, well, you guys used to be good friends and now you're not. What happened? How come they changed? And guess what? They didn't change. I did. I stopped fawning. I stopped kissing butt. And I stopped just going along with the flow, even though I didn't agree with it. And that's what changed that relationship. And you're going to see the real relationships are going to stay with you, and the phony ones are going to fade away, or you'll have to end them, but it's really good. It feels so good to live in truth, because when you live in truth, it's so relaxing. 'Cause you don't have to be phony. Your body just, it feels like it's in alignment, and you're healthier, okay? So while I was here, I actually did an actual age test. So stay tuned on my channel. If you're not already subscribed and you're interested in that, please do tune in, because I'm 54 and a half, a little over that. And I'm going to find out my biological age. They look at 9 markers. They look at, I guess, your liver function, how you metabolize sugar, all kinds of stuff, because I'm really, really sure that your mental fitness affects your physical fitness, okay? Obviously, we all know about going to the gym. We all go, whoever wants to be fit, first thing, go to the gym, eat right? Take care of our physical bodies, which is crucial, but also our mental fitness. How are we moving through the world? How are we taking things that we see in the world and, responding to them? What's our relationship to different things in the world? So that's why I wanted to do this on Valentine's Day, because I wanted to show people, you guys, that it all starts with yourself, with figuring out. And I didn't know how to do this either. After 50 years of living, I didn't know how to love myself. And I know that sounds so cliche, and it is not going on vacations and getting pedicures and manicures and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's nice to do. That's not bad. But it's more keeping the promises you make to yourself. It is, oh, hi, Gloria. Excuse me a sec. You have to agree with the boss. It's his way or no way. Well, Gloria, I'm glad you said that, okay? Oh, bye, Jimmy. Okay. I'm glad you said that, Gloria. You have to agree with the boss. It's his way or no way. That is so true, because I tried disagreeing with the boss, and it didn't work out well. So I ended up leaving that job at the end of December. So, and I'm doing something else now, because I couldn't live with the dishonesty. I couldn't live not being true to myself, and I tried. I mean, I'm like, all right, let me find a way, and it wasn't all that. It was other things, but when I'm going to school for 2 degrees right now, so there were other things, Gloria, but I agree. I understand. Sometimes you have to stay. Perhaps, though, maybe you can have a conversation with some bosses, not all. So, and if not, you might have to look elsewhere. Oh, okay. I'm glad, Gloria. Good for you. You left your job too. Congrats. It is freeing, right? And I just feel like, and that's a way to love yourself. Now, there you go. That's a beautiful way to love yourself, is to remove yourself from situations that don't resonate with you. And I know financially, not everybody can do that. I saved up for, to be able to live for a while, until I find something else. But it's everybody's, journey. You got to figure out what you can do, and you might have to get a second job. I don't know. I don't know the answers to your specific situations, but your mental health and your physical health is, it's my number one priority. And when you make that your number one priority, then yourself really feels the love, and then you really you see the world in a different way. You move through the world in a different way. You relate to people in a different way, and it's beautiful. It's so much more peaceful and so much more true, okay, and honest. Oh my God, Gloria, you're killing me. I left after 17 and a half years too. We are very similar. So yeah, and I loved my job. I worked with seniors. I got to do the activities, and I drove a church bus, and it was super cool, and I loved it. And I got to have fun. I mean, I went to museums and plays, and it was really, and I was making people's lives better, and it was very satisfying. So it was hard to come to the realization that, you know what, even though this is helping people, I need to focus on myself right now and really show the self-love. So it's a hard thing to realize, and once you start loving yourself and trusting your instincts, then your life really changes. And I don't know what life brings, but it's getting better and better. So we'll see what happens. But I wanted to do this on Valentine's Day, just to help people understand you're not alone. You'll never be alone if you love yourself. And I know that sounds so cliche, but it's so true. And if you can find peace in your heart, it's priceless. Back on the romance kick here. I was married for 21 years, and then I ended it, and I've been my therapist suggested this, and it's maybe controversial, but I dated myself for the past 2 years. Okay, I know that sounds really wild, but when he first told me, I laughed at him, and then I signed up for Match, and I went on a bunch of dates with people, and it was terrible because I was not healed fully. So I think when you're out there dating, you need to really. Ooh, we're getting a storm rolling in. When you oh hi Jace. So we were just talking about healing yourself and self-love and being here on Valentine's Day. I'm actually at a conference right now in Costa Rica, so I'm sharing my notes with you guys of stuff that I learned, but also I want to tell you a little bit about my journey, because I started this channel after being married 21 years and getting divorced, and just I didn't know who I was. I don't know if you guys have that, but it was scary. It was really, really scary because I was a mom, and I was a wife, and I was a churchgoer, and I was a volunteer for this, and a worker, and a professional, and it was really a lot of things, but I was never here for myself. So this has been really a journey of, stopping and not doing so many outside things that would distract me, because we're pretty good at that as humans, distracting ourselves. But stopping and taking time for myself has been the best thing I've ever done. So I just want to share that with you. And I wish I knew that back when I was first divorced, and it's been really a blessing. So that's where we're at. I just wanted to share some things I learned at this conference. It's actually a conference on trauma and healing, and I know that word, I'm going to lose you, but it scares people. But we all have trauma, whether we I just lost 3 people. Bye. But thank you for the guys that you folks that hung in. I appreciate that. Anywho, so it's about healing, and we all need to heal. We all need to. I mean, we don't need to. You can continue life however you want, but healing, you can really live your life and look at the world through a different lens. And it's a beautiful lens, and it's an honest lens. Whereas sometimes we can suppress that trauma and suppress those wounds. And if we don't heal, we're never going to really fully experience life. And those scars are what make us beautiful and different. So that's what I wanted to share with you on that. Now, all right, there's some other stuff that I'm not supposed to share. Oh, here, this is awesome. So this is more information from Luis Mojica. So he is, and if you missed this, I'm going to just repeat this for folks. Yeah, it's awesome. My email's in my like YouTube thing, so just email me. I'll send you info about the conference. It's life-changing, yeah. So Luis Mojica is a nutritionist, a somatic healer, and he's a psychological therapist. So he puts all three together, and he just helps us look at life in such a different way. And it's a way that I never imagined. By the way, we've got howler monkeys around here. They're the number 2 loudest animal in the world next to bull elephants. So that's what you're hearing. And they're not that big. They're like this big. They're very cool. So I just want to share these notes with you. So I asked Luis, I said, well, how do you know when you're having a response to somebody? And he said, number one, when you're in a situation that like stresses you out, stop and notice. Like, notice what your body feels, where the sensations are. If you're tense, if you are, if you get a like pit in your stomach, if your shoulders get tight, if your shoulders go up to your ears. Like when I think about certain people, my shoulders just slide up to my ears. I don't know if you ever have that experience, and you may not realize it. So I challenge you each to look at your body and to feel what you're feeling, and when you're going through stressful times, and see how you're feeling in that. It's just incredible, and we don't do it typically. Those are the howler monkeys. So he said, notice, physically feel the sensations, but then what we can do is we can look away from that person and look for something around the room that supports you and kind of grounds you. In fact, I did a whole interview with Luis, and that'll be on my channel as soon as I get editing it, probably in a week or so. But he had some really great insight, like how do you deal with this stress? Because we all have stress in our lives, okay? So that was very cool. And so how does your body feel? In a very simple way, you can, when you're in a stressful situation, and you can see how you're taking it if you just are like you're totally balanced, that's okay, that's great. But if you find that you're tensing up and you're shrinking, that's another way to sense if you're stressed out. Also, if you're relaxed, you may feel yourself expand, you're taking up more space, your muscles relax. That means you're taking it well and you're okay. But if you find yourself constricting or freezing or fawning, giving somebody compliments you don't really feel, that's a sign that you should maybe pause, remove yourself from the situation, say, excuse me, I have to go to the restroom. Take a few breaths, check how you're feeling. I know that's hard at work, but give it a go. And then maybe reapproach the situation a different way, okay? I know that's a lot. It's not something we're used to, so I hear you. So, are you guys having a good Valentine's Day? Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And I just want you to know you're not alone. We're here. And also, another thing I learned, and this is through Dr. Dick Schwartz. He is an amazing psychiatrist. Yeah, he's got a PhD in psychiatry. But he came up with a system, and I don't know if any of you know it. It's called internal family systems. So his story is, it's pretty cool. He was a family therapist, and he had a practice, and he was doing very well. And he said, oh, family therapy is where it's at. So he treated people in family therapy, and but then he wanted to do work with bulimic young ladies and men, and so he did, and he tried talking to them in such a way that his typical family therapy that he learned in school would told him to, and he found that it was good in the room, and they would agree to whatever in the room and be like, oh yeah, I'm feeling better, and then they'd come in the next week and be even worse. They would have issues, and he shares the story openly. Actually, I interviewed him last year, so if you want to check out him saying his history, it's on my channel. But so he realized, he goes, this is really quite ineffective, so let me figure out another way to deal with these people, because they are clearly suffering and I'm not helping them the way I want to. So he started listening to what they were saying, and all of his patients started referring to their thoughts as parts. So that was an eye-opening situation. He's like, initially he thought, oh my goodness, these people are sicker than I thought. But